Hi, I'm Shawn. You can call me Shawn. And I'm the organizer of GDG Tianjin from China. And today I'm very honored to talk to you about China and introduce the situation of Chinese developers. According to my English level, I will speak slowly to make my speech easier to understand and accurate. Everyone knows that China is a very special environment. Every time we talk to the other countries' GDGs, everyone said, wow, you came from China. And we all understanding something. The content and data I'm gonna talk about refers to the situation of China. Okay. First of all, please allow me to introduce Tianjin. Tianjin is a city. It's near the capital, Beijing. It's take 100 kilometers far from Beijing and 30 minutes by train. It's a typical industrial city with a large number of manufacturing industry companies and full of university resources. Tianjin is China's third largest city, and its GDG members also China's third. Because of these manufacturing resources companies, Tianjin GDG members have high demand for machine learning. Okay, let's start. Google has been away from China for nearly 10 years because of some well-known reasons. Maybe I can't say that. And every one of you probably know the reason, right? Most of Chinese developers think that Google has left China. Of course, we all know that Google just removed the search service from China, and there are still many business Google keep in China, such as the business teams, advising teams, and AI research develop teams. Of course, the DevRel, our GDG. Uh, Google started with a search engine, and it's the most widely used product. However, the number of the users who can use Google search in China, the number is very small. Even most of the developers still use the other search engines in China. Young people born after 2000 who are not developers have hardly ever used, even they not even not heard of Google. The truth. However, all users who have heard of Google or users who are using Google have a high level of loyalty. This is the case in Tianjin. Similar to the other GDG chapters in China, Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and all of China. Okay, I'll show you three numbers now. First number is 829 million. This is China's internet users at the end of last year. Second number, there is 1.53%. It's Google search market in China. There's an elephant in the room. Users who can use Google search have ways to access Google. Multiply these two numbers, there are still more than 10 million people who are Google's loyalty users in China. 10 million. Okay, let's see the mental of Chinese developers, which is a key point. In the past 2 years, there are two big news related to developers. two Chinese developers suicided after big pressures and unfair treatment. They were hurt by marriage, and all money is gone, and lost his job after high pressure work, and they finally chose the same way to end their life. So I think we want to do something for them, for developers. As a psycho counselor, I stood up and gave them psycho support, and I recorded the results. Finally, I made a podcast episode. I've talked about this podcast later. First, let me see the result data. The data was published to see the mental state of Chinese developers. Here it is. The sampling time is less than 5 days. You can see the result data, huh? Almost all developers have problems with sleep and depression. About half of the developers have problems with less eating. A few have problem with overeating, the eating disorder. And a quarter of the developers have returned to single, or they got hurt in a marriage relationship. And the most dangerous thing, that a quarter of the developers themselves have violence to their families. And 1 in 10 developers have the risk of suicide. The result seems not good. The result of this reason is a way of working from Chinese companies. Next page, you may heard of it. 996.icu. What it is? It's a famous GitHub project recently. You may have heard of it. In China, many people are working more than legal working hours, especially the developers. Huh. Some famous international brands are working in this way, such as Alibaba, Jingdong, Huawei, Xiaomi, TikTok, and Baidu, NetEase, Tencent. Almost all of Chinese international internet brands are on the list. These people work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and 6 days a week. When something wrong, his body got something wrong, they go to the ICU. This GitHub project already has 240,000 stars when I made this slide. Unfortunately, when visiting these websites, all of Chinese-made browsers will show that it's an illegal website and will not be displayed. This situation still continues today. This is really a very serious problem. We are trying to change this situation as much as possible, and we are actually helping these developers through our podcasts, our lawyer friends, but there are still heard of news of developers' deaths from overwork. Okay, another key point. Many people want to know how we work in China. Even a few years ago, when I was on the United States visa, the officer asked me the same question. He said, as far as I know, China does not have Google. How do you work in China? Okay, let me introduce it. Indeed, in the eyes of most people, China does not have Google. However, China's GDG is legal commodity. Technology is neutral, right? This is also my answer to the visa officer. However, strictly speaking, every Chinese GDG organizer is illegal at work. My Chinese friends may know about this. Let me talk more about risky content. Let me show you why. My Chinese friend know it. This is the question that we be asked most at every time at every event. China has two great walls, one of which blocks the harmful information from illegal websites. It contains Google, YouTube, Wikipedia, Twitter, Facebook. I think most of you can't enjoy this treatment, and I sincerely hope you will not. So many attendees ask this question. As an organizer, we certainly have ways to access Google and other websites, but we can't teach them the ways. Otherwise, we will get into trouble. Even if you can access Google yourself, however, it's completely illegal in China. It has a risk being detected, or maybe the cop will call you for a talk, or even worse. One of my friend almost jailed because of this. It's true. So by default, all non-encrypted data communications in China are detected. And the reason why we have not been called to talk is because our threat number is not enough. Huh. Maybe I will be enough after today. So everyone is at risk. All we can do to protect ourselves is not to type sensitive keywords on chat tools like WeChat, a certain monitoring systems. Be sure to use end-to-end encryption communications. But this question is always asked. So, on the Dev Fest 2 years ago, one of our organizers, his name is Andy Zhu, gave this answer. If you can't access Google, you may not be a developer. And this time, he won the collapse of everyone. The way to access Google is risky, but it's easy, especially for developer. I just mentioned there are more than 10 million, 10 million Google users in China. Most of them are not the target of the cop, but they are still at risk. Okay, let's talk about the situation of female women tech makers. The current situation in China is there are only a small percentage of women in development positions, about 10% or less. Some people think that women are not suitable for coding. And in traditional Chinese values and in current job positions, women still cannot be treated equally with men. The good news is, in the WTM event every year, there are 60 to 70% of female attendees, and the number is increasing. More women are starting to think about development work in China. The number of women doing relevant jobs such as products operations has increased year by year. However, the truth is, there are still very few women who are coding. So there's still a long way to go. At least it's a good start now. Finally, let's talk about challenges and opportunities in this special environment. China's manufacturing industry still has some advantage, and they have increased their attention in machine learning. In GDG Tianjin and China, we also have a lot of TensorFlow sessions. It's very popular. Some machine learning is used in the manufacturing line of industry. This is also the major industries of Tianjin. There are many applications in this field of vehicle manufacturing, auto-driving vision, and underwear detection in Tianjin's companies. However, some machine learning is used in the monitoring based on huge amount of data collected. Most of Chinese people don't care about privacy, so there's a huge of data collected easily. 3 months ago, there's a university project asking me. They are going to use a camera to monitor the students' expression. If they didn't smile for 10 days, they should be judged with depression and be called to doctor. That looks interesting. No good. It can judge by depression just by looking at the expression. So I talked to the leader to cancel this project. Because of my psychology qualifications, finally I succeeded. However, there are also devices for the classroom in some school to test whether the students are focused on lesson. I don't know what to say. China's developer market is growing and is likely to become the biggest in the future. The 2018 to 2019 China Developer Survey Report briefing from CNNIC, it said the number of developers under the age of 30 for more than 70%, and nearly half of them work in first-tier cities. 77% of companies are using big data, and 86% of companies are using cloud services. Nearly 40% of developers said they are trying to use AI or machine learning. And events data research each year to determine the software developer population for the top 30 in the world. Sources include IMF, World Bank, CIA, and many others. Data is put into a model which has current populations and could count for the next 5 years. This gives us the developers' population data. The top country of developers' growth is China. The growth rating is 6 to 8% each year, leading up for 5 years. Of course, China has many problems that can be said and cannot be said. This requires us to judge and make choices. We also hope that policies can make this special environment better. 2 years ago, I'm the first time to attend the Global GDG Summit on the I/O. Many friends heard that I'm from China, and they gave me a lot of courage. Yes, they said, please sit. They said to me, please stick to this meaningful work, and we keep in touch. Yes, standing here and saying this really requires a lot of courage. And there are still many things I can say. I think you can understand me too. We hope to get Google's support and your concern when we encounter difficulties. Okay, the last two little things. The first one is a t-shirt design. You can download it here. This is a funny and meaningful design. This crab is shooting A shooting crab, its pronunciation in Chinese is similar to block or delete. So this crab stands for some forces. It kicked these exciting websites out of China. This style comes from the arcade game Galaxy or Galaga. This design is a new version. The old version is this one on me. It's designed by a friend who has lost contact. I will also draw some related design to share with you in the future if I have a chance to stand here. And this point, the second one, is a podcast. We created a podcast 3 years ago. It's famous Mandarin Chinese podcast, especially in the developers group, should be the most famous Chinese podcast. Our broadcasters are GDG organizers or Google employees. So this is a friendly podcast to Google. We always promoted of Google products and values. There are 300,000 users listening us every week. It's recommended by iTunes and Google Podcast on index page. We are kindly and give help to developers and LGBT peoples. We insisted on telling the truth in China. And yes, you may think about it. Some of our episodes have been deleted in China. Never mind, we keep it our official website and Spotify and YouTube. I hope you like it. Finally, by the way, I'm looking for a job. Okay. I was a developer and I'm working on operations now, especially for the operations of developer relationships. I also have my own project called DevLink. If you have a good idea, talk to me, please. Okay. Thank you for giving me the courage and accepting my spoken English. It's my honor to stand here to share this with you. Thank you, everyone.